I was the first person in the office every morning at 6:47 a.m. Not because anyone asked me to be. Not because I was trying to impress anyone. But because the North Point retail dashboards needed to be refreshed before their CMO, Vanessa Torres, checked them at 7:30 a.m. sharp. She was 3 time zones away, and she expected perfection. For 4 years, I made sure she got it. My name is Keira Hayes. I'm 26 years old, and until 3 weeks ago, I was a project coordinator at Pulsewave Analytics. That title never really fit what I did. I built systems. I managed relationships. I solved problems that everyone else called impossible. But on paper, I coordinated projects. The North Point account was worth $2.3 million a year. It was our biggest client, and I was the one who kept it running. Nobody knew how much work went into those dashboards. Tyler Knox, my boss, certainly didn't. He was too busy playing golf with executives and posting LinkedIn articles about innovative leadership. Tyler had the kind of smile that belonged in a toothpaste commercial. Everyone loved him at first glance. I learned early on that Tyler's genius was taking credit for other people's work and making it look effortless. Keira does the technical stuff, he'd say at client meetings, waving his hand dismissively. I handle the strategy. The technical stuff. That's what he called the custom analytics integrations I'd spent months building. The automated reporting systems that saved North Point's marketing team 40 hours a week. The predictive models that had increased their ROI by 38%. Technical stuff. The warning signs started in September. Small things at first. Tyler stopped including me in the weekly client calls with Vanessa. Then I noticed my calendar invites to strategy meetings were quietly disappearing. When I asked about it, Tyler smiled that perfect smile. We're streamlining communications, he said. Too many voices confuse the client. You understand. I understood perfectly. I just didn't know how bad it would get. In October, Tyler hired Brianna Walsh. She was 23, had perfectly highlighted hair, and her LinkedIn profile looked like a fashion magazine. Her analytics experience consisted of a 6-week online course and an internship at her uncle's startup. Brianna has great energy, Tyler announced at the team meeting. She's going to be client-facing on North Point. Fresh perspective. I watched Brianna nod enthusiastically, completely unaware that she couldn't tell a data pivot from a pivot table. The real blow came on a Thursday in late October. Tyler called an all-hands meeting to announce the dream team for North Point's massive Q4 campaign launch. This was their biggest project of the year, a complete rebranding with a marketing blitz across 6 states. The presentation to their board was scheduled for November 15th. Tyler stood at the front of the conference room with a PowerPoint slide showing 5 headshots. His own photo was centered at the top, naturally. Below him, Brianna, Marcus from sales, Jeff from creative, and Tony from data analytics. My photo wasn't there. This team represents the best of Pulsewave, Tyler said, clicking to the next slide. We're going to show North Point what elite service looks like. I sat in the back row, my coffee cup frozen halfway to my mouth. For years. I'd given this account 4 years. What about the back-end systems? I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. The dashboards, the reporting automation, the data integration? Tyler barely looked at me. Keira, you'll keep doing what you do. Back-end stuff. The dream team needs to focus on client-facing strategy. Back-end stuff. There it was again. That afternoon, I noticed something odd. My access to 3 shared folders had been revoked. When I asked IT about it, they said it came from Tyler's request. Streamlining permissions for security, the ticket said. I sat at my desk, staring at my screen. 4 years of work, and I was being quietly erased. That night, I stayed late. Not to work, to think. I pulled up every system I'd built for North Point. The custom dashboards that pulled from 7 different data sources. The automated reports that ran on my proprietary scheduling system. The integration I'd coded myself because Pulsewave's standard tools couldn't handle North Point's complex requirements. None of it was documented. Not really. I'd learned that lesson 2 years ago when Tyler presented his system to the executive board, a system I'd built from scratch. He got a bonus. I got a thank you email. After that, I kept my methods to myself. The next 2 weeks were suffocating. I watched Tyler's dream team stumble through prep meetings, asking questions that showed they had no idea how the North Point account actually worked. Brianna kept referring to the monthly KPI tracker, which hadn't existed for 6 months because I'd built something better. Where's the customer sentiment data? Vanessa asked on a call I wasn't supposed to be on, but could hear through the conference room wall. Keira handles that backend component, Tyler said smoothly. We'll have it for you. 30 minutes later, Brianna appeared at my desk, her smile nervous. Hey, so Tyler needs the customer sentiment data? For tomorrow? It's in the dashboard, I said. Section 3, updated daily at 6 a.m. Right, but can you just send me the numbers? I'm not super familiar with the backend. I sent her a screenshot. I didn't tell her that the numbers meant nothing without understanding the methodology. She wouldn't have understood anyway. November 8th, a Friday. I knew something was wrong when I got a calendar invite at 3 p.m. for a meeting at 4 p.m. The invite had Tyler, myself, and someone from HR named Paula Chen. My stomach dropped. Paula Chen only showed up for one kind of meeting. I spent the next hour backing up my personal files and watching the clock. At 3:58 p.m., I stood up, smoothed my skirt, and walked to Tyler's office. He was sitting behind his desk, hands folded. Paula sat in the chair to his left, her face professionally blank. There was a folder in front of her. Keira, thanks for coming, Tyler said. His smile was gone. Please sit down. He said. I didn't speak. We're making some difficult decisions about team structure, Tyler began. His voice had that rehearsed quality, like he'd practiced this in the mirror. Pulse Wave is evolving, and we need team members who can evolve with us. Paula opened the folder. I saw the word termination at the top of the page. We've evaluated your performance over the past quarter, Tyler continued, and we have some concerns about culture fit and collaborative spirit. The North Point account needs a cohesive team, and I built the North Point account, I said quietly. Tyler's jaw tightened. We appreciate your technical contributions, but the client relationship requires more than back-end support. They need strategic thinking, innovative approaches. They need their dashboards to work, I interrupted. Which they will. Until they don't. Something flickered across Tyler's face. Confusion, maybe. Or the first hint of fear. Paula cleared her throat. Keira, we're transitioning you off the North Point account effective immediately. We're offering 2 weeks of severance pay. You'll need to return your laptop, badge, and any company property before you leave today. I've never been good at confrontation. I'm the person who apologizes when someone bumps into me. But sitting in that office, watching Tyler arrange his face into fake sympathy, something cold settled in my chest. I understand, I said. I stood up, smoothed my skirt again. I'll pack my things. We appreciate you being professional about this, Tyler said, relief obvious in his voice. He'd expected tears, probably. Begging. Paula will walk you out. I looked at him for a long moment. Really looked at him. The expensive watch he'd bought with his last bonus. A bonus for work I did. The framed photo of him shaking hands with North Point CEO at a meeting where he'd presented my analysis as his own. I smiled. Just a little. Good luck with the presentation next week. Tyler's face went carefully blank. We'll be fine. I'm sure you will, I said. And I walked out. Paula walked 3 steps behind me as I packed my desk. The office was mostly empty. It was past 5 by then. I took my photos, my coffee mug with a chip in the handle, the succulent plant I'd kept alive for 3 years. I left behind the awards Tyler had given me for team support and dedicated service. They felt like participation trophies now. At 5:47 p.m., I handed Paula my laptop, my badge, and my office keys. She walked me to the elevator. The doors closed between us, and I was alone. I stood in that elevator, watching the numbers descend, and felt the strangest sensation. Not sadness. Not anger. Something lighter. Like I'd been holding my breath for 4 years and finally let it go. The elevator reached the ground floor. The doors opened. I walked out into the November evening, and pulled out my phone. I had 7 missed calls from work numbers, 3 voicemails, 12 texts. I turned off my notifications and walked to the coffee shop across the street. The coffee shop was called Brewed Awakening. I'd been coming here every morning before work for 3 years. The barista, an older woman named Patricia, knew my order by heart. "Usual?" she asked when I walked in. "Biggest size you have," I said. "And one of those chocolate croissants." She raised an eyebrow but didn't ask questions. I paid, took my coffee and croissant to the table by the window, and sat down. From here, I could see Pulsewave's office building across the street. The lights were still on in the conference room on the 4th floor. My phone started buzzing. I pulled it out and looked at the screen. The first text was from Marcus. "Hey, something weird is happening with the dashboards. Did you do updates today?" I took a sip of coffee. It was good. Really good. The second text was from Tony. "North Point dashboards are showing error messages. Can you log in and fix it?" I broke off a piece of croissant. The chocolate was still warm. The third text was from Brianna. "Urgent. Client calling about reports not running. Please help." I looked out the window at the Pulsewave building and said nothing. The thing about the North Point systems is that they weren't complicated because I made them complicated. They were complicated because North Point's data infrastructure was a disaster when I inherited it. 7 different databases, 3 different CRM systems, 2 different analytics platforms. Nothing talked to anything else. I'd spent 6 months building custom integrations. I'd written scripts that ran on specific schedules, pulling data, cleaning it, reformatting it, and pushing it to the dashboards. I'd built error handling systems that caught problems before they became visible. And I'd done it all in a way that only I understood because Tyler had taught me that protecting your work was the same as protecting yourself. Now, none of those systems had me to maintain them. And without me, they were already starting to break.
My phone buzzed again.
Tyler this time. "Keira, we need to talk. Call me." I turned my phone face down on the table and watched the office building. In the 4th floor conference room, I could see people moving around, gesturing. One person was on the phone, pacing. I finished my croissant. At 7:15 p.m., my phone rang. Not a text, an actual call. Tyler's name flashed on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. 2 minutes later, another call. Voicemail again. Then a text. "This is serious. We have a client emergency. Whatever you're upset about, we can talk about it, but right now I need you to fix the systems." I typed out a response. "I'm no longer employed by Pulsewave. Per Paula's instructions, I returned all company property. I have no access to any systems. Good luck." I hit send and ordered another coffee. The truth was more complicated. I did have access to the systems. They ran on servers using my personal credentials because Pulsewave's IT security was terrible and I needed admin rights to make things work. But Tyler didn't know that. He thought firing me would be clean and simple. He was learning otherwise. Saturday morning, I slept until 10. I made breakfast. I went for a run. I did all the things I never had time for when I was arriving at the office at 6:47 a.m. every day. At 2 p.m., my phone buzzed with an email. The subject line was, "Urgent. Executive meeting Monday, 8 a.m. I opened it. The email was to the entire North Point team, including me, apparently, since no one had removed me from the distribution list yet. It was from Tyler. "Team, we have a critical situation with the North Point dashboards and reporting systems. All hands meeting Monday at 8 a.m. to develop solutions. This is our top priority." I deleted the email and went back to my book. On Sunday, I got a LinkedIn message from someone named Vanessa Torres. My heart skipped when I saw the name. The message said, "Keira, I've been trying to reach someone at Pulsewave all weekend about the dashboard issues. Tyler says you're no longer on the account. Is that true? We need to talk." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed, "Hi Vanessa. Yes, I left Pulsewave on Friday. I'd be happy to talk. When works for you?" Her response came 30 seconds later. "How about tomorrow at 10 a.m.? I'll call you." Monday morning at 9:58 a.m., I was sitting in Brood Awakening again. Same table, same view of the Pulsewave building. I could see people in the fourth-floor conference room. The executive meeting Tyler had called. At exactly 10 a.m., my phone rang. Vanessa Torres. "Keira," she said when I answered. Her voice was sharp, efficient, exactly like I remembered. "What happened?" "I was let go on Friday," I said simply. "They're restructuring the team." There was a pause. "The team you built? The account you've been managing for 4 years?" "Yes." "And nobody thought to mention this to me?" Vanessa's voice was rising now. "I found out because our entire analytics system collapsed over the weekend. No dashboards, no reports, no data. We have a board presentation on Thursday." "I know," I said. "I built the schedule around your board meetings." Another pause. Longer this time. When Vanessa spoke again, her voice was different. Calmer. "Can you fix it?" "I can," I said. "But I don't work for Pulsewave anymore." "What if you worked for me?" Across the street, I watched someone in the Pulsewave conference room throw their hands up in frustration. I imagined Tyler in there, trying to explain to executives why their biggest client systems had imploded the same weekend they fired the person who built them. "What did you have in mind?" I asked Vanessa. "We've been talking about bringing analytics in-house for a year," she said. "We have the budget. We need someone who actually understands our systems. Someone who's been doing the work all along, not just taking credit for it." I felt something warm spread through my chest. "Tyler told you that?" "Tyler didn't tell me anything useful in 4 years," Vanessa said drily. "You did. Every time I called with a question, I asked for you. Every time I needed something fixed, you fixed it. I'm not an idiot, Keira. I know who is actually running this account." "Then why didn't you say anything?" "Because I thought Pulsewave knew what they had in you," Vanessa said. "Clearly, I was wrong. So here's my offer. Come work for North Point. Build us an analytics division. Double your salary, full benefits, equity options. Start whenever you want." I looked down at my coffee. It had gone cold, but I didn't care. "When can you fix our dashboards?" Vanessa asked. "How about today?" I said. I spent Monday afternoon in my apartment, rebuilding North Point systems from scratch. This time, I built them properly. On North Point's own servers, with documentation, with clean code that anyone could maintain. This time, I wasn't building someone else's empire. I was building mine. By 6 p.m., the dashboards were running. By 8 p.m., the automated reports were fixed. I sent Vanessa an email with the access credentials and a summary of what I'd done. Her response came 10 minutes later. "You're a miracle worker." Tyler called me 4 times today begging for more time. I told him we're canceling the contract. 30 days notice as per our agreement. I'll have our lawyers send the termination letter tomorrow. See you Monday for your first day. I read that email 3 times. Then I poured myself a glass of wine and sat on my couch in the dark, watching the city lights through my window. Tyler had fired me to make room for his dream team. Instead, he just lost a $2.3 million account. The revenge I'd imagined, screaming, exposing him, burning bridges. None of that happened. I didn't need it. The natural consequences of his own decisions were doing the work for me. Tuesday morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls and 34 text messages. Most were from Pulsewave numbers I didn't recognize. 3 were from Tyler. The voicemails escalated from professional, "Keira, let's talk about how we can resolve this," to desperate, "You're destroying this company, call me back," to angry, "This is sabotage and you know it." I deleted them all except the last one. That one I saved. At 11 a.m., Paula from HR sent me an email with a subject line, "Exit interview and final discussion." The email was corporate speak for, "We need to convince you to help us or threaten you into silence." I responded. I returned all company property as requested. I have nothing further to discuss. Please direct all future communications to my attorney. I didn't have an attorney, but Paula didn't know that. By Wednesday, the news had spread. I got LinkedIn messages from 3 former colleagues asking what happened. I got a message from Marcus. "Tyler's losing it. The execs are asking questions. What did you do?" I didn't respond to Marcus. But I did respond to the former colleagues. I'm happy to chat. I've just accepted a position at North Point Retail, leading their analytics division. Thursday was North Point's board presentation. I was involved. I'd only started on Monday, but Vanessa called me at noon. The presentation went perfectly, she said. The board approved the in-house analytics division. They approved your hiring. They're excited about the direction we're going. That's great, I said and meant it. There's something else, Vanessa added. Tyler called me this morning. He wanted to discuss repairing the relationship between North Point and Pulsewave. He seemed surprised when I told him the contract was already canceled. What did he say? He said it was a misunderstanding. That you'd gone rogue and sabotaged their systems before you left. That they were considering legal action against you. My stomach clenched. And I told him I've worked with you for 4 years, and in that time, you've been nothing but professional, brilliant, and reliable. Then I told him if Pulsewave pursues any legal action against you, North Point's legal team will be very interested in discussing how Pulsewave took credit for work you did, how they fired you without proper knowledge transfer, and how their negligence nearly cost us a board presentation. He hung up after that. I sat down. My hands were shaking. Thank you. Don't thank me, Vanessa said. Thank you. For 4 years of making me look good to my board. Over the next 2 weeks, I watched Pulsewave's collapse from a distance. It wasn't dramatic. It was slow and methodical, like a building with a cracked foundation finally giving way. First, another client left. Then another. Each time, the story was the same. The project coordinator who actually ran their account had quit or been fired, and the replacement team couldn't deliver the same quality. I heard through former colleagues that Tyler was demoted. His dream team was dissolved. Brianna lasted 3 weeks before she quit, overwhelmed and undertrained. I didn't feel triumphant. Mostly, I felt tired. 4 years of my life had gone into building something for people who saw me as replaceable. But I was building something new now. Something mine. By December, North Point's analytics division had 3 employees. Me, a data scientist named Owen who I hired away from a competitor, and a junior analyst fresh out of college named Priya who reminded me of myself at 22. We worked from a small office inside North Point's headquarters. I had my own workspace with windows that overlooked the city. I had a title that actually reflected what I did, Director of Analytics. I had a salary that made me feel valued. And I had something else, something I hadn't realized I was missing. I had a boss who listened to me. Vanessa asked for my input on decisions. She introduced me to the board as the architect of our new analytics strategy. She invited me to leadership meetings. For the first time in 4 years, I felt visible. On a Tuesday in early January, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. The subject line said, Opportunity. I almost deleted it. Then I saw the signature, Tyler Knox, independent consultant. The email was 3 paragraphs of carefully worded corporate speak. The summary, Tyler had left Pulsewave and was starting his own consulting firm. He was reaching out to former colleagues and industry connections to build his network. He hoped there were no hard feelings and wanted to explore potential collaboration. I read it twice. Then I typed a response. Tyler, I appreciate you reaching out. I'm happy with my current position and not looking for outside opportunities. Best of luck with your new venture. Keira. Professional. Polite. Final. I hit send and felt nothing. Not satisfaction. Not anger. Just a distant sense of closure. He taught me a valuable lesson, even if he didn't mean to. Your value isn't determined by people who fail to see it. In February, Vanessa called me into her office. I have a proposal, she said. She slid a folder across her desk. Inside was a business plan, a detailed strategy for an independent analytics consulting firm. The first page had a name, Hayes Analytics. What is this? I asked. Something I've been thinking about, Vanessa said. You're brilliant at what you do. North Point is lucky to have you. But you could help a lot of companies, not just us. What if you started your own firm? North Point would be your first client, guaranteed contract, guaranteed revenue. You could build from there. I just got here, I said. I just got stable. I know, Vanessa said. But you didn't build what you built at Pulsewave just to make someone else rich. You built it because you're exceptional. Don't you want to build something that's actually yours? I looked at the business plan. Hayes Analytics. My name. My company. Think about it, Vanessa said. I thought about it for 2 weeks. I made spreadsheets. I calculated risks. I talked to Owen and Priya, who both said they'd come with me if I started something new. In the end, it wasn't a logical decision. It was a feeling. The same feeling I'd had in Tyler's office when he fired me. That cold, clear certainty that I was worth more than this. On March 1st, I registered Hayes Analytics as an LLC. On March 7th, I signed my first contract. North Point Retail, $500,000 a year for full-service analytics support. On March 15th, I signed my second contract. A mid-size retail company that had left Pulsewave 3 months earlier and heard I was available. By April, Hayes Analytics had 6 employees and 4 clients. By May, we had 12 employees and 8 clients. One of those clients was a company that used to work with Pulsewave. Their project manager told me, "We asked for you specifically. We heard you were the one who actually did the work." It's June now. I'm sitting in Brood Awakening. Same table by the window. But I'm not watching the Pulsewave building anymore. I'm working on a proposal for a potential client, and Patricia just brought me my usual coffee without me having to ask. My phone buzzes. It's Owen. Meeting with the investor went great.
She's in.
We're expanding. I smile and type back. Excellent. Celebratory lunch. Already ordered. Your favorite place. I look out the window. The Pulsewave building is still there, across the street. Some days I wonder if Tyler still works there. If he's still making promises he can't keep, taking credit for work he doesn't do. If he ever thinks about me. Then I turn back to my laptop and realize something remarkable. I don't care. The real revenge wasn't watching Pulsewave lose clients. It wasn't Tyler's demotion or his desperate emails. It wasn't even starting my own successful company. The real revenge was this. Sitting in a coffee shop on a Tuesday morning, working on something I built, with people who value me, doing work that matters, and realizing I've spent whole days without thinking about the place that tried to make me invisible. I'm not invisible anymore. Not because someone finally decided to see me, but because I stopped waiting for permission to be seen. I close my laptop, finish my coffee, and head to lunch with my team. The people who know my name. The people I chose. The people who chose me back. That's not revenge. That's freedom. And it feels better than anything I imagined in Tyler's office that Friday afternoon when my world ended. It feels like living.